Um, Welcome. um, my name's Celeste. However, I go under the name of Moonlight Mystic in terms of my role as a spiritual activist. And this download, I guess, um, comes under the umbrella of spiritual speak. And spiritual speak is the language um, that addresses the deeper meaning and undercurrent of what is taking place within our world. And so we have um, the presentation of what is in the news, what is in the media, what is being um, created and then of that presentation, and then we have a far deeper presentation. And so that is what I hope to bring through the spiritual speak. So today I want to look at the deeper meaning of the protest, and I want to, and in order for us to understand what is happening at Parliament and understand the protest, we have to look at a few things. So first of all, I want to say that we're going to talk about what the government is. Okay, and because I think that we tend to believe that the government is the authority in terms of um, um, any expert advice or any expert um, perspective. And what we have to actually realize is that this is Jacinda is an individual who has an opinion about health, and this is one paradigm. And our reality is not made from one paradigm. Our reality is a full spectrum reality that has within it many different paradigms, because it has within it many different people. And so what I want to open up here today is the world of paradigm. Okay, and introduce a new paradigm into the meaning of where these protests are coming from, because on a surface level, it appears to be about a vaccination or about COVID-19. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's dive deeper. Let's go into the spiritual speak of what we are encountering. So, what is the government? in my paradigm, because we're all entitled to a paradigm, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The government is basically the governing mental energy of a psychological system that seeks to implement this artificial presentation of a referential point when it comes to how we navigate our world, how we navigate our health, how we navigate the vision that we have for this nation, how we navigate the vision that we have for the future generations. Okay. And so the government is the governing mental energy of the psychological system that is implemented through an external surface presentation referential point. Okay. And so we've not been trained in self-awareness. And rather, we have been taught that the way we must identify ourselves is in relationship to the energetic dynamic of this implementation. And so this is this energetic dynamic of enforcement. Okay. And so any dynamic that exists, dynamic requires there to be at least two participants, two or more. And in this case, the dynamic is the governing mental energy of that psychological system of a paradigm, and and her perspective as an individual, and the people. And so the government does not exist without people. The people are the participating force in the dynamic. And so that exists within this exchange, okay? Because what you've got to realize is that whatever paradigm is being accepted collectively, then with that paradigm comes a dynamic that is being enforced. And so what we are deciding here is, are we going to allow for this dynamic of existence to rule our world? Okay, that's what's going on, right? And so it's interesting to note that this artificial form of power can only be achieved through creating an imbalance in the dynamic. Okay, and so because what this means is that this specific dynamic of power, it can only exist when the other participants or the other party within the dynamic ceases to exist. Okay. That power is imbalanced because it does not consider the people, doesn't consider spiritual health, mental health, emotional health. And so this artificial form of power relies upon the imbalance in order to exist. This artificial form of power is in fact unstable because its power can only be secure when we, as the exchange in the dynamic, are dead. And of course, I'm not talking about physically dead, even though we won't go there. I'm talking rather, this is an artificial form of power because it relies upon the illusion that we are dead, that we have no mind, we have no heart expression, we have no value or standard, that we cease to exist. Yeah. And so this is a presumption because we are very much alive, are we not? You know, and there is a presence to our being, is there not? And so to say that we simply do not exist, or that through this dynamic of power we are forbidden to exist as the people. We are forbidden to have a voice, to have an expression, to have a different perspective. And so you have to realize that this is not about which side of the fence you are on or whether something is wrong or right. It has nothing to do with that. What this has to do is with the dynamic of power and that it is not, this dynamic of power is not empowering to the people. Have you noticed that? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel safe? Do you feel respected? Do you feel that you have been given the opportunity to respond? Do you feel that you have uh, some right to know what is going on? And that's the other thing. Okay. Those people are meeting at the steps of government because they are fighting for not just their perspective. They are fighting for the right to know the truth. Because truth, even in a court of law, the judge himself will look at two bodies of information. It will hear the testimony of both sides, and then will come to a conclusion of a balancing point where the truth is established through these. And so what you need to realize is that the media doesn't provide the balancing point. It provides the artificial vision that is just one side. Okay, and that does not represent all of New Zealand, does it? Okay. When we are divided against ourselves, we will fall. There is a need to come together. So this form of artificial power, it cannot exist without us. For we only become the system when we are conforming to its level of consciousness and its transmission. We are the transmission of the system, are we not? As the people, we transmit that its consciousness and its energy. We are the living presence and transmission of that paradigm that Jacinda has projected out onto the public. Okay. And so can we accept that is the case or not? And so what happens is that we realize that we're at a crossroads here. This is not we are not having head wars of who is right and who is wrong. We are having heart movements towards a empowered New Zealand. Okay. If we are the living presence of this system, if we are its transmission and its consciousness and its energy, then why as the people are we not being heard? Why as the people are we not being seen? Why as the people are we not being felt within the heart? We are treated as though we have no ability to respond, and we do have the ability to respond. Do you have the ability to respond to life, to respond to your health and to the challenges that you face? You know, in a way that feels right for you, or are we going to completely abandon our existence to one form of paradigm? Do we not live in a world that is many paradigms and many expressions of life, of truth? Do we not own our spiritual guidance and our emotional energy? We have denied the power we have to take responsibility from within, to trust our heart. We have denied the power that we have to take that responsibility, to respond. We have the ability to respond from the place of our heart. And this is where the acknowledgement of the inner man is, this is where we acknowledge the emotional, mental, and spiritual part of who we are within the dynamic. There has to be a balancing point. And this fiasco is the perfect open door and opportunity to establish that balancing point. Could this possibly be the psychological virus of our time? Our signature, our date of birth, our registration of the regulations, is this not an identity that is dead? Is this identity the living presence of who and what we are? Is there not something missing? This certificate of purchase of our lives and of our taxes and all these things that we have come to know through this system it's now invalid and it's in need of renewal. The certification. There's a balancing point to be reached. The space in between us is closing in. The people are waiting on the very doorstep of Parliament, and they are holding that artificial power captive to the energy of love and devotion to this nation, the love and devotion to the generations that are coming after us, our children. And they are holding that space because they are positioning themselves in connection to the reality that, yes, we are very much alive and we are coming back to life from within. That is what's going on. And so you have a presentation of the protest, and like we're all just like these angry, horrible people. And the reality is that if you actually go down to Parliament, because you should, because then you would get a balanced perspective. You see, it is our responsibility to find the truth. Okay, and so leaders that miss out lots of parts of the story are leaders that are misleading us. Okay, and so there is a full spectrum and a full story, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are. What matters is that we have the right to know the truth. Okay, it's not about which side of the fence you are on. It is about the right. Do you want to know the truth? Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, or you agree with that paradigm of health, then that's fine. But do you not want to know the full spectrum of the full story? And so the people are at the steps of Parliament because they are standing there saying there is a full story that needs to be covered. And they are fighting for everybody, not just themselves. They are fighting for the people of New Zealand, that we as a collective nation will know the full truth, the full spectrum of what is going on. You know? And in order to have the full spectrum of what is going on, you need to be able to have a mind that is able to integrate both perspectives and find the balancing point between them. It is clear that we as the people hold the heart of the vision, for we are the heart. We represent the heart, the heartbeat, the energetic heartbeat of transmission. And so that transmission needs to come from a place of balance and from a place of truth. We're hiding. What is hidden shall be revealed. If you hold no true vision, I think what is being said is that if the governing mind is unable to hold a true vision for the people of this nation, then they will perish. Why? Because if you can acknowledge that we are born every day, we rise with the sun. We are the living presence of heart energy and consciousness. That is who and what we are. And so the way that we are interpreting the self within the dynamic, that's a big thing. Are you prepared to have to continue to interpret yourself in accordance with a dynamic that is being enforced upon you, that denies your own mind, your own heart, your own paradigm and perspective according to all the full body of information? We express our greater light that is felt as our greater empowerment, for that light is the light of love. Love for who and what we are. This spiritual being having this human experience, this journey must include the light of our empowered soul evolution. And so, yes, the shadow consciousness of the artificial mind has ruled for a time, but we are awakening to the fact that the dynamic is not balanced. It needs a presence, a voice, a perspective that is held by the people and introduced and established to bring the balance. It's time to find the light and bring the balance. And this artificial mind, it cannot sustain this kingdom of darkness, of concealing the truth. It cannot sustain it. It is not being sustained. There is the people that see through it are not complying to it because they see what it is, not because we are rebellious, angry, horrible people, but because we are people that are filled with love. And if you go down to Parliament steps, you will find that people are sharing food, shelter, dancing, singing, loving on one another, and expressing the living presence. And they are there on the doorstep. Yes, here we are. Here we are. We are the living presence. We are the people. We are more than this signature, this name, this address, this date of birth, and this certification. You know, that is a dead identity. We are the living presence. And so there needs to be a readjustment and a renewal of a system that is invalid because it doesn't acknowledge this part of who and what we are. Okay? And if you go down the track and follow this governing mind, you need to realize that you are following a path that refuses to acknowledge who and what you are. This is a system that insists that you do not exist. This is a system that insists that you do not know the full truth. Do you want to fight to know the full spectrum of what is going on? That's the question. Because it matters. It matters what's going on. This is a time in history of a spiritual revolution, and we are taking the steps to defend our land. Remember, God, defend our free land. God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God, defend our free land. We are made in that image. That is our image. And so this kingdom of darkness, it is the tower that needs to fall. The darkness within ourselves, that we don't see this, that we don't see clearly what's going on. That tower needs to fall in all of us so we can come back, return to life, come back to life, come back to the dream and the vision of a unified and empowered nation. This tower that falls within us all, because we have to come face to face with the celestial being that is within us all. The celestial being that is within us all. And so this artificial mind, it has no authority or power unless we are its living presence. And in order to be its living presence, we need to have no mind, no heart, no value. We need to cease to exist. Is that something you agree with? The living presence of our being is connected to the heart. And if you, O artificial mind, are no longer connected to the heart, you will simply cease to exist. Because the heart consciousness is the new living vibration of our world. This is the dream that slowly began to fade within all of us. This is the dream that is coming back to life. We are the living vibration of our world. That is who we are as the people. We are the living vibration of our world. And that world, that spiritual world of heart expression, is what is awakening within our soul. Because that world has been denied, and that world within us, as the inner man, is being enforced to cease to exist. Okay, there's far more going on than what we realize. Do we not, all of us in this nation, have the right to know what is going on? That is my question. That is the spiritual speak. So I'm going to leave that with you. Blessings, love, and light unto you. Namaste.